Role of research in organizational behavior. Hello student, welcome to the lecture on role of research in organizational behavior. And after this lecture, we will be able to learn the following objectives. Understand meaning and definition of research. Explain types of research, discuss significance of research in social and business sciences, understand meaning of research problem, describe formulating the research problem, explain objective of formulating the problem, understand research design, understand sources of data. Introduction. Now let us know more about the concept of research. Research simply means a search for facts, answer to questions and solutions to problems. It is a purposive investigation. It is an organized inquiry. It seeks to find explanation to unexplained phenomenon, to clarify the doubtful facts and to correct the misconceived facts. Young defines research as a scientific undertaking which by means of logical and systematic techniques aims to discover of new facts or verify and test old facts, analyze their sequences, interrelationships and causal explanations, develop new scientific tools, concepts and theories which would facilitate a reliable and valid study of human behavior. Kurlinger defines research as a systematic, controlled, empirical and critical investigation of hypothetical propositions about the presumed relations among natural phenomena. Meaning and definition of research. Now let us see this video to understand about research.
Did you know that in college and university, research has a different meaning than it has in high school? In high school it means information retrieval. You have a research topic, you retrieve information on that topic, you look it up, and then you take that information and you put it in your paper, and that's your research. In college and university, information retrieval is not research. It's an aspect of research, but it's not research. Retrieving information does not make you a researcher. It makes you a retriever. Now don't misunderstand me. There's nothing wrong with retrievers. Some of my best friends are retrievers. But we shouldn't confuse them with researchers, because researchers are a different animal. Let's compare the two. How are retrievers and researchers different? For one thing, retrievers move in a straight line, because retrieving published information is usually pretty straightforward. But researchers don't move in a straight line, because they're trying to answer questions that don't yet have neat and tidy answers. They often face obstacles and have to zigzag or go in circles for a while. They often have to try different approaches because some approaches just don't work. That's why researchers have to be more tenacious than retrievers, more reflective and brooding, and more ambitious. The goal of researchers is to see further than previous researchers were able to see. They do this not by rejecting the work of previous researchers, but by relying on it and building on it. As Isaac Newton famously put it, "If I have seen further than others, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." The underlying reason why information retrievers and researchers are different is that information retrievers look up existing knowledge, what we already know, while researchers pursue new knowledge, what we would like to know. That's the key difference. Let's illustrate this. This map shows the territory that an army has control over in an armed conflict. The army's goal is to expand the territory under its control and add new territory. To do that, the soldiers have to be positioned at the front, not in the interior. Research is like that. The goal of research is to take the existing knowledge on a subject and expand it by adding new knowledge. To do that, researchers must work at the frontier of knowledge, trying to answer the questions that confront us at the frontier. What does this have to do with you? When you choose a research paper topic, you can't focus on existing knowledge. You have to choose a question at the frontier of knowledge.
Research is a scientific endeavor. It involves scientific method, which means it is a systematic step-by-step procedure following the logical processes of reasoning. The scientific method is based on certain articles of faith, which are reliance on empirical evidence. Truth is established on the basis of evidence. Conclusion is admitted only when it is based on evidence. Use of relevant concept. We experience a vast number of facts through our sense. Facts are things which actually exist. We use them in our thinking and communication. Otherwise, and correct understanding cannot be achieved. Commitment of objectivity. Objectivity is the hallmark of the scientific method. It means forming judgment upon facts unbiased by personal impressions. The conclusion should not vary from person to person. Ethical neutrality. According to Schrödinger, science never imposes anything, science states. Science aims at nothing but making true and adequate statements about its object. Generalization. In formulating a generalization, we should avoid the danger of committing the particularistic fallacy, which arises through an inclination to generalize an insufficient or incomplete and unrelated data. This can be avoided by the accumulation of a large body of data and by the employment of comparisons and control groups. Verifiability. The conclusion arrived at by a scientist should be verifiable. He must make known to others how he arrives at his conclusions. He should thus expose his own methods and conclusions to critical scrutiny. When his conclusion is tested by others under the same condition, then it is accepted as correct. Logical reasoning process. The scientific method involves a logical process of reasoning. This reasoning process is used for drawing inference from the finding of a study of arriving at conclusion. It is a systematic and critical investigation into a phenomenon. It is a purposive investigation aiming at describing, interpreting, and explaining a phenomenon. It adopts scientific method. It is objective and logical, applying possible tests to validate and the measuring tools and the conclusion reached. It is based upon observable experience or empirical evidence. Research is directed towards finding answers to pertinent questions and solutions to problems. It emphasizes the development of generalization, principles, or theories. The purpose of research is not only to arrive at an answer but also to stand up the test of criticism. The objectives or purposes of research are varied. They are research extends knowledge of human beings' social life environment. The search is for answers for various types of questions: what, where, when, how, and why of various phenomena enlighten us. Research brings to light information that might never be discovered fully during the ordinary course of life. Research establishes generalization and general laws and contributes to theory building in various fields of knowledge. Research verifies and tests existing facts and theory, and these help improving our knowledge and ability to handle situations and events. General laws developed through research may enable us to make reliable prediction of events yet to happen. Research aims to analyze interrelationship between variables and to derive causal explanation, and thus enable us to have a better understanding of the world in which we live. Applied research aims at finding solutions to problems, socio-economic problems, health problems, human relation problems in organization, and so on. Research also aims at developing new tools, concepts, and theories for a better study of unknown phenomena. Research aids planning and thus contributes to national development. Example: Einstein's theories of relativity, Newton's contribution, Galileo's contribution, etc. It is undertaken out of intellectual curiosity or inquisitiveness. It develops many alternative solutions and thus enables us to choose the best solution. Applied research. It is carried on to find solution to a real-life problem requiring an action or policy decision. It is thus problem-oriented and action-directed. Example: marketing research carried on for developing a news market or for studying the post-purchase experience of customers. exploratory research. It is also known as formulative research. It is preliminary study of an unfamiliar problem about which the researcher has little or no knowledge. It is ill structured and much less focused on predetermined objectives. Descriptive study. It is a fact-finding investigation with adequate interpretation. It is the simplest type of research. It is more specific than an exploratory research. It aims at identifying the various characteristics of a community or institution or problem under study, and also aims at a classification of the range of elements comprising the subject matter of study. Diagnostic study. It is similar to descriptive study but with a different focus. It is directed towards discovering what is happening, why it is happening, and what can be done about. It aims at identifying the causes of a problem and the possible solution for it. Evaluation studies. It is a type of applied research. It is made for assessing the effectiveness of social or economic programs implemented, or for assessing the impact of developmental projects on the development of the project area. It is concerned also with change over time. Action research. It is a type of evaluation study. It is a concurrent evaluation study of an action program launched for solving a problem for improving an existing situation. It includes 6 major steps: diagnosis, sharing of diagnostic information, planning, developing change program, initiation of organizational change, implementation of participation and communication process, and post-experimental evaluation. According to the methods of study, research may be classified as experimental research. It is designed to assess the effects of particular variables on a phenomenon by keeping the other variables constant or controlled. Analytical study. It is a system of procedures and techniques of analysis applied to quantitative data. It may consist of a system of mathematical models or statistical techniques applicable to numerical data, hence it is also known as a statistical method. Historical research. It is the study of past records and other information sources with a view to reconstructing the origin and development of an institution or a movement or a system, and discovering the trends in the past. Survey. It is a fact-finding study. It is a method of research involving collection of data directly from a population or a sample thereof at particular time. Its purpose is to provide information, explain phenomena, to make comparisons and concern. Research approaches. There are 2 main approaches to research, namely quantitative approach and qualitative approach. The quantitative approach involves the collection of quantitative data which are put to rigorous quantitative analysis in a formal and rigid manner. This approach further includes experimental, inferential, and stimulation approaches to research. The qualitative approach uses the method of subjective assessment of opinions, behaviors, and attitudes. Significance of research in social and business sciences. Research encourages scientific and inductive thinking besides promoting the development of logical habits of thinking and organization. The role of research in applied economics in the context of an economy or business is greatly increasing in modern times. Research assumes significant role in formation of economic policy for both the government and business. It provides the basic for almost all government policies of an economic system. Research helps to formulate alternative policies in addition to examining the consequences of these alternatives. Research also assumes a significant role in solving various operational and planning problems associated with business and industry. Meaning of research problem. Research really begins when the researcher experiences some difficulty, that is, a problem demanding a solution within a subject or of his discipline. The formation of the topic into a research problem is, really speaking, the first step in a scientific inquiry. A problem, in simple words, is some difficulty experienced by the researcher in a theoretical or practical situation. Choosing the program. The selection of a program is the first step in research. The term program means a question or issue to be examined. The selection of a problem for research is not an easy task itself, it's a problem. It is least amenable to formal methodological treatment. Vision and imaginative insight plays an important role in this process. The sources from which one may be able to identify research problems or develop problems awareness are review of literature, academic experience, daily experience, exposure to field situation, consultation, brainstorming, formulating the problem. The selection of one appropriate researchable problem out of the identified problems requires evaluation of those alternatives against certain criteria, which may be grouped into internal criteria. Internal criteria consist of researcher's interest. The problem should interest the researcher and be a challenge to him. Without interest and curiosity, he may not develop sustained perseverance. Researcher's competence. A mere interest in a problem will not do. The researcher must be competent to plan and carry out a study of the problem. Researcher's own resource. In the case of a research to be done by a researcher on his own, consideration of his own financial resource is pertinent. If it is beyond his means, he will not be able to complete the work unless he gets some external financial support. External criteria. Researchability of the problem. The problem should be researchable, that is, amendable for finding answers to the questions involved in it through scientific method. To be researchable, a question must be one for which observation or other data collections in the real world can provide the answer. Importance and urgency. Problems requiring investigation are unlimited, but available research efforts are very much limited. An important and urgent problem should be given priority over an unimportant one. Novelty of the problem. The problem must have novelty. There is no use of wasting one's time and energy on a problem already studied thoroughly by others. Feasibility. A problem may be a new one and also important, but if research on it is not feasible, it cannot be selected. Hence, feasibility is a very important consideration. Facilities. Research requires certain facilities such as well-equipped library facility, suitable and competent guidance, data analysis facility, etc. Usefulness and social relevance. All the study of the problem should make significant contribution to the concerned body of knowledge or to the solution of some significant practical problem. Research personnel. Research undertaken by professionals, undertaken by professor and by research organization require the services of investigators and research officers. Techniques involved in formulating problem. The question to be studied or the problem to be solved may not be known. Hence, the selected problem should be defined and formulated. This is a difficult process. The process of defining a problem includes developing title. The title should be carefully worded. It should indicate the core of the study, reflect the real intention of the researcher, and show on what is the focus. Building a conceptual model. On the basis of our theoretical knowledge of the phenomenon under study, the nature of the phenomenon, its properties, one element and the interrelation should be identified and structured into a framework. Define the objective of the study. The objectives refer to the question to be answered through the study. These may aim at description or explanation or analysis of causal relationship between variables and indicate the expected result or outcome of the study. The objective may be specified in the form of either the statements or the question. Criteria of good research problem. Horton and Hunt have given following characteristic of scientific research. Verifiable evidence, that is factual observation which other observers can see and check. Accuracy, that is describing what really exists. It means truth or correctness of a statement or describing things exactly as they are, avoiding jumping to unwarranted conclusions either by exaggeration or fantasizing. Precision, that is making it as exact as necessary or given exact number or measurement. This avoids colorful literature and vague meanings. Systematization, that is attempting to find all the relevant data or collecting data in a systematic and organized way so that conclusions drawn are reliable. Objectivity. It means observation is unaffected by the observer's values, beliefs and preferences to the extent possible, and he is able to see and accept facts as they are, not as he might wish them to be. Recording. That is jotting down complete details as quickly as possible. Since human memory is fallible, all data collected are recorded. Controlling conditions. That is controlling all variables except one and then attempting to examine what happens when that variable is varied. Research design. It provides a systematic plan of procedure for the researcher to follow. A research design is the arrangement of conditions for collection and analysis of data in a manner that aims to combine relevance to the research purpose with economy in procedure. The need for the methodological design research. In many research inquiry, the researcher has no idea as to how accurate the result of his study ought to be in order to be useful. In many research projects, the time consumed in trying to ascertain what the data mean after they have been collected is much greater than the time taken to design a research which yields data whose meaning is known as they are collected. The idealized design is concerned with specifying the optimum research procedure that could be followed where there are no practical restriction. Characteristic of a good research design. It is a series of guideposts to keep one going in the right direction. It reduces wastage of time and cost. It encourages coordination and effective organization. It is a tentative plan which undergoes modification as circumstances demand. When the study progresses, new aspects, new conditions and new relationships come to light and insight into the study deepens. It has to be geared to the availability of data and the cooperation of the informants. It has also to be kept within the manageable limits. Components of research design. It is important to be familiar with the important concepts relating to research design. They are dependent and independent variables. A magnitude that varies is known as variable. When changes in one variable depends upon the changes in one or more other variables, it is known as a dependent or endogenous variable, and the variables that cause the changes in the dependent variable are known as the independent or explanatory or exogenous variables. Extraneous variable. The independent variables which are not directly related to the purpose of the study but affect the dependent variables are known as extraneous variables. Control. One of the most important features of a good research design is to minimize the effect of extraneous variable. Confounded relationship. The relationship between dependent and independent variables is said to be confounded by an extraneous variable when the dependent variable is not free from its effects. Primary data are first-hand information collected through various methods such as observation, interviewing, mailing, etc. Methods of collecting primary data. Primary data are directly collected by the researchers from the original sources. In this case, the researcher can collect the required data precisely according to his research needs. He can collect them when he wants them and in the form he needs them. There are various methods of data collection. A method is different from a tool. While a method refers to the way or mode of gathering data, a tool is an instrument used for the method. Secondary sources of data. These are sources containing data which have been collected and compiled for another purpose. The secondary sources consist of readily compendia and already compiled statistical statements and reports whose data may be used by researchers for their studies. Features of secondary sources. First, they are ready-made and readily available and do not require the trouble of constructing tools and administrating them. Second, they consist of data which a researcher has no original control over collection and classification. Both the form and the content of secondary sources are shaped by others. Clearly, this is a feature which can limit the research value of secondary sources. Finally, secondary sources are not limited in time and space. Use of secondary data. The secondary data may be used in three ways by a researcher. First, some specific information from secondary sources may be used for reference purpose. Summary. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. The role of research in applied economics in the context of an economy or business is greatly increasing in modern times. Research is equally important to social scientists for analyzing social relationships and seeking explanation to various social problems. It gives intellectual satisfaction of knowledge, things for the sake of knowledge. Arbitrary or unscientific method is a method of seeking answers to questions consists of imagination, opinion, blind belief or impression. Scientific method is a systematic, rational approach to seeking facts. It eliminates the drawbacks of the arbitrary method. It is objective, precise and arrives at conclusion on the basis of variable evidences. Primary data are directly collected by the researcher from their original sources.